So how about this? That 49ers defense, just a few weeks after they were performing as one of the league's worst units for that Minnesota-Cincinnati two-game stretch, they are elite again. Number 4 on the aggregate, but that includes the struggles. Ever since the bye, the 49ers have been the number 1 defense in football. In fact, the expected points added per play, which you want to be in a negative when you measure defensive performance, negative 0.217, which if extrapolated over the full season would be even better than the Cleveland Browns' historically good defense. So you could safely say the 49ers are number 1 on offense right now and playing as the number 1 defense. Elite stuff from the 49ers. And when I talk about this defense, it's not really fair to just talk about one player because it's really been a unit-wide effort. I mean, it's just, they made it sing, that unison between pass rush and coverage. And I think you could start with the coverage because that's what was missing when they really struggled, right? Steve Wilks came in as a coverage defensive coordinator. He didn't have the alignments right. It wasn't jiving with what the 49ers were doing. The pass rush was still delivering, but it didn't show up on the stat sheet because the coverage wasn't holding for long enough. They fixed something, and it appears that Shanahan even made an adjustment before yesterday's game when he seemed to override the plan for Charvarius Ward. He said Charvarius Ward needs to follow DK Metcalf around. He needs to do what he did last year to shut down the Seahawks' top receiver. And, so the micro adjustment before the game yesterday and the macro adjustments that the 49ers made coverage-wise at the bye to tighten up the back end, holy crap, are those working well. Charvarius Ward, top 5 corner. That's how he played last night. I mean, that was some lockdown stuff against DK Metcalf. As John Lynch said last year to Charvarius Ward as he came off the field against Carolina, worth every penny. You want to have an elite defense, you better have an elite number 1 corner. And Charvarius Ward, when he eliminates the penalties, and obviously he did that last night, he is an elite guy. You also are only going to be as good as your worst corner. And the 49ers, when Isaiah Oliver, with his bigger body, was trying to cover some of those shiftier slot receivers, they had a true fracture point in the defense. But Ambry Thomas has emerged now. Ambry Thomas is playing physical football. Who had Ambry Thomas out-muscling Tyler Lockett on a sideline route for an interception on their bingo card yesterday? I mean, Ambry is answering the concerns about his biggest weakness resoundingly. And Deommodore Lenoir has been good for a while. Demo surged at the end of last season. So right around this time, maybe a little bit later that he got going into the playoffs. Why not for Ambry Thomas? Why can't he do the same? So the 49ers have essentially eliminated Isaiah Oliver from the field. You say that you're only as good as your worst cornerback. Well, if Ambry Thomas is playing this well, all of a sudden a weakness has been eliminated. That has forced opposing quarterbacks to hold on to the football longer. At the same time that that's happened, the 49ers pass rush has hit another gear because Chase Young is Chase Young. Even Randy Gregory yesterday, I mean, remember they traded for him too. We haven't been talking about him as much, but Forsyth, the right tackle, just got pancaked by Randy Gregory. Javon Hargrave playing great football. Eric Armstead is actually leading the entire NFL, all defensive tackles, in pass rushing productivity since the bye week. That's the Randy Gregory, Chase Young, Nick Bosa effect. Those guys are dominating the edges. It's letting that interior just run free. So you have the best pass rush in football, one of the most talented defensive lines ever, and what's happening is the 49ers are allowed to do their thing because the back end is covering well enough. Now that's also tied to the defensive line. The back end can cover well enough if they're not worried about the run game. If the 49ers can stop the run in their sleep, which they've done. You haven't been able to run with standard handoffs against the 49ers over the past 3 weeks after they ranked number 26 in football at the bye. They fixed all these things, and it goes back to fixing alignments, setting edges, and obviously that's turned into removing weaknesses. The big weakness, the 2 big weaknesses that the 49ers had, I've outlined. The third cornerback spot, that nickel cornerback spot, and the edge spot opposite Nick Bosa. The acquisition of Chase Young, the acquisition of Randy Gregory, that's helped the 49ers shore up that other edge spot. It's firmed up the run defense. And then Steve Wilks has made his coaching adjustments with, I think, some input from Kyle Shanahan, because Charvarius Ward said that Shanahan swooped in there yesterday to say, hey, we need to do what we did last year. I think that happening has bound everything together. And now you can firmly say that this 49ers defense does not have a weakness. Now, it's going to be tested coming up against Philadelphia, that's for sure. The 49ers, though, they've given up about the same rate of explosive plays this year defensively as they did in 2019. They're number 2 in the league, giving up explosives on only 8.1% of pass attempts. That's not a lot. And that's going to be the key to winning this game against Philadelphia. You have to deliver explosively on the offensive end. Obviously, the takeaways, that's always a key. But look at the explosives in particular. You have to limit those downfield to A.J. Brown, to Devontae Smith. Does Charvarius Ward follow A.J. Brown around? Maybe. Last year, the 49ers corners had a really good game against Philly in the NFC Championship game. Lenore and Ward gave up hardly nothing. I mean, they were airtight in that game. Philly has a really good offensive line, though. One of the best in the league. So it's going to test the firepower of this really talented 49ers defensive front. But it's going to, again, you have to talk about this in terms of a unit. The entire 49ers unit, the secondary has to fuel the pass rush and vice versa. When you're facing Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata and Jason Kelce and this really solid Philadelphia line, you're probably going to have to buy your own pass rush sometime to hit home. And then obviously the 49ers are going to have to worry about the whole mobile quarterback component against Jalen Hurts. So it's going to be a big-time test. It's the number 6 offense right now, Philadelphia. They're going to bring it to the table. And the 49ers, I think, are very, very fortunate this week that they're going to be on extra rest against the Eagles. It's the one rest advantage that the 49ers have on the schedule. Philadelphia has to play Buffalo. That's going to be a good physical game on Sunday. I can't finish a video about the 49ers defense, though. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the linebacker level, because I talk about coverage fueling the rush and rush fueling the coverage. That linebacker level in the middle is what binds it all together. And Fred Warner is playing at Defensive Player of the Year level. I know that Deron Bland's getting all the hype right now with the pick sixes, and maybe those will push him toward that award, although Myles Garrett would like something to say about that. But what Warner is doing is elite. It's the best football of his career. I think Dre Greenlaw's healthy again. I think Oren Burks made big plays yesterday, especially on special teams. My main point is this 49ers defense does not have a weakness. And the 49ers already had the number 1 offense in the league. So you're looking at number 1 offense, number 1 defense, special teams. Just don't screw it up. And it's what the 49ers promised at the start of the year. They said, hey, our defense, we want to take it up another level with Steve Wilks, introducing some new coverages. We might go through some growing pains. I think the growing pains were a little bit more severe than anybody predicted. But now the 49ers have come out of the tunnel. They've seen the light. They've come out of the tunnel. And they have a chance for, it can't be a coronation because it's the regular season, but it's certainly a full circle opportunity coming up in Philadelphia.